Ahkello Witherspoon is available. The Pittsburgh
God.
Steelers are releasing Ahkello Witherspoon. The Niners could use some depth. They drafted him in the 3rd round. He fell out of favor. He was backing up Emmanuel Mosley, who's now gone. And now, I mean, it's Diamador Lenore and Darrell Luter Jr. This guy is 28, just turned 28, has started 40 games in the NFL. Last year, he gave up a quarterback rating of 126.1, which, I mean, could have been worse. Could have been worse. What do you think?
I've actually followed a little bit of Ahkello since he's left the 49ers when he went to Pittsburgh specifically. And I think I remember, not this past season, but 2021, I think towards the same thing, towards the tail end of the season, I think he played very strong on the down stretch. You know, 49ers fans have heard that before. Ahkello playing strong down the stretch. Wow. And then sure enough, when the expectations are there and everyone's wanting more from him, seeing to compete, whatever, and then he just fails to take advantage, take that leap. And that's been the epitome of his career, right? It just fails to take that leap. It's like he's there, the guy's there all the time, even in coverage. Like he's there, he's good in coverage, but he doesn't go after the ball, and he's over there getting mossed or over there getting beat by Stephon Diggs. So no, stay away from this guy. This is not someone that's familiar. Plus, I'm pretty sure the way the two sides were leaving off of each other, it was good for a divorce, if I recall. Like I was like, no, it's time for these guys to move on. I remember Ahkello, because at that point, again, back then, Ahkello was doing good. People wanted him back, and it's like, I think at this point, they're just done. I think Ahkello was done getting like bodied by Kyle Shanahan, getting put in the doghouse, because this guy was the #1 doghouse player for Kyle Shanahan next to Dante Pettis back in the day. So I think this is the one that there's no way to reconcile. I think the Niners just like, this is what we thought. And Ahkello is just like, I think Ahkello would say yes, because I think at this point he's looking at a very hard. He's looking at training camp body status now at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple weeks at the beginning of 2019 when he looked like he was better than Richard Sherman. He had like a pick 6. He looked really good and really confident. He had a really good offseason. Then he got hurt, came back, and I don't think he was 100%, but no excuse. You're on the field, and he gave up some big plays, got benched. I don't think he ever recovered mentally. Like, he seemed like he lost his confidence. And remember, the Niners were split on drafting him. Lynch was against it, and they were like, he just doesn't tackle like I think people on our defense should tackle. And they sort of talked him into it, and then I think he never really overcame that. And then you look at, like, Mosley was so ferocious as a tackler for a guy who was way smaller than Witherspoon. I just don't think Witherspoon fits the kind of... No, I don't know. Maybe Steve Wilkes has a different opinion of Ahkello Witherspoon, but whoever liked Ahkello Witherspoon on this team 5 years ago is not on this team anymore.
Yeah, and if you want to take the Wilkes perspective, Wilkes might be an advocate of him just because he likes to he's more better suited to play man, right? To get up in there and face, and that's something maybe Wilkes might do a little more of, or at least call more situations. But I think at this point, it's like if the Steelers are saying are canning him now, players who get canned now, that's always like okay, like you're just interchangeable like that, huh? But obviously, if you're bringing Ahkello in, there's more just for depth, because obviously your starters are Traverse Ward, Diamador Lenore. You hope Luter competes. You hope Tyree Castle Fields competes. Whoever else in the back end, all these players, and then you throw him in the mix. Maybe you get that veteran presence, like an old school Dante. Like he would be this year's Dante Johnson, I guess, if he were to bring Ahkello in.
Like, Ahkello has all the measurables. If you look at him, he's 6'3", long arms, super quick, super explosive, fast. Like, he has literally all the measurables, but he hasn't worked out because he just doesn't seem mentally or physically tough enough for the NFL. And isn't that the story of Ambry Thomas right now, too? Like, they already have a guy like that on the team who's a 3rd-round pick who's on the verge of washing out. I think the Niners have figured out, like, what kind of profile they need for players to work on this team. You got to be super mentally and physically tough to fit in on a team with Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and I just don't think Ahkello fits. I don't think he does.
No, because again, even though he's not a starter, everyone needs to pretty much resonate from most of the top to bottom. Again, it's always about that locker, that culture fit, right? You want to see if it's going to be a piece of the puzzle, and that's something he's never had, dude. His mentality has just been always so volatile. That's one thing I just hate. It's like that's why I was always like a Ahkello Witherspoon defender with the 49ers. It's like, dude, he's got the body at work. The guy just needs his confidence.
He has the athleticism. He has the frame. Yeah, it's the confidence. It's like with corners. You play corner, right?
Yeah, you have to be confident. You can't be scared or nothing like that. You have to be like, you have to be tough. You have to be a savage. You have to be.
You have to believe you're great. Like when Richard Sherman would get beat,
yeah,
he wouldn't get down on himself. He'd be like, well, I'm still the best. I don't know how that happened. It's not going to happen again. When Ahkello would get beat, it's almost like you could see it being like, here we go again. Here we go again. It's like, nah, man, like if you don't believe in yourself, then you need to sit down because no one believes in you, man. You got to believe in yourself.
That's why the biggest signs of always like to me when I see like corners who are always there in place and just like when the ball's like getting close to them and they get like deer in the headlights, that's how I know they're scared. Or like Traveris Ward towards the end in the playoffs, especially when he's like, why is this guy playing 11 yards off? And I'm watching Amador playing 4 yards off. Those are always the two top signs to me that always tell me like this guy's in his head. Like he got beat. Oh, and then all of a sudden he's scared to get put in that situation. You abandon technique, you freak out. That's always.
Thank you for bringing that up with Traveris Ward. The guy didn't get tested all year, and then at the end he gave up a few catches, and it looked like he freaked out.
Mainly towards especially the just the streakers, I would say. Like those are the ones that really like, because those are the ones that really like as a corner just like stab your soul, and it's like, oh god, I let my teammates down because he played Devontae Adams like the weeks before that. And he had great coverage on Devontae Adams in the end zone, right? He was like, this guy has good coverage. Just Devontae Adams, just a freaking legend.
Yeah.
There's no way to like, he didn't let that bother him, but it's the gashers. It's the ones
the one he gave up to DK in the playoffs was gross.
That's what I'm saying. Like those ones
crushed.
Demoralizing.
Yeah. I mean, he got smoked and then he was like a couple yards off and he turned to find the ball. It's like, no, man, catch up. You're not in position to make a play on the ball. And then you lost another step trying to find it and then it's touchdown. That was bad. And never after that, I thought he was shook after that play. So I don't know.
That play is just pretty much just like, all right, you're beat. Trail technique, play through the hands.
Exactly.
Damage. That's why I hate when like turn around. It's like no, he's not gonna turn around when he's 2 yards. Then you can't. Then it's
a touchdown.
1 second to turn around, and then another 2 seconds to locate the ball. At that point,
that's right.
You got beat. How do you handle crisis control? Pretty much, it's pretty much PR control in that sense. In a corner, play through the hands.
You should know that, man. You're one of the highest paid corners in the league. You're elite. You should know that.
Out. It's hard. That's why it's like high stress situations. It's the same thing when we talk about like with the quarterback situation. It's like, dude, like getting these reps for Trey in the practice is great, but he needs to get out in the game because that's not the way you're going to replicate those high stress situations with him and see how he fares. Yeah,
and Traveris is like he's been in, he's won a Super Bowl, but I don't know. Whatever happened at the end of last season, he didn't respond well, and now you got a new DB coach. I'd love to know what Steve Wilkes thinks.
Niners Super Bowl 2 against Emmanuel Sanders. I know he was back there. I don't know if that was him specifically, but I know he was back there.
Good point. He did get beat, right?
He 1,000% was back there. I just don't know if that was necessarily.
I think good question. It might be. Joseph Stockridge says, "Can you post these to Spotify soon?" Sorry, I got a little hung up the last couple of days. But yes, I'll do it right after. From now on, every show. Come on, I don't know who wants to hear it. All right.